He's trying to get on Tiger King.
Exactly.
Don't laugh. I saw every episode.
Stuck on episode 4. I keep falling asleep.
Oh, really? Strange man.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fun.
All right. I think we can get started. We have everybody, right?
Here.
All right. So this is the Planning Board public meeting of Tuesday, April 21, 2020, approximately 7:35 p.m. Joel?
Would you mind reading it?
Oh, okay. I'll do it.
Thank you.
In accordance with the provisions of Section 10:4-8D of the Open Public Meetings Act, the date, location, and time of the commencement of this meeting is reflected in a meeting notice, a copy of which schedule has been filed with the village manager, the village clerk, the Ridgewood News, and the Record newspapers, and posted on the bulletin board in the entry lobby of the village municipal offices at 131 North Maple Avenue, and on the village website, all in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Okay, I guess usually we do a flag salute. Has anyone done virtual meetings or you do?
Because it's hard to stand.
All right, we'll pass on that one. Jane, can you call the
We
roll?
could do it.
Okay.
I have it.
Mayor Hershay,
Yes, here.
Chief Ben Gore,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Newton,
Here.
Mr. Joel,
Here.
Mr. Torrielli,
Here.
Ms. Patiri,
Here.
Ms. Hubin,
Here.
Ms. Bartow,
Here.
Ms. Wessner,
Here.
and Ms. O'Brien.
Here.
Okay, first thing, we're going to do a moment of silence for the people that have passed from COVID. So let's just have a moment. Okay, thank you very much. All right, first order of business, I guess, would be number 2 on the agenda. Do we have any public comments on topics not pending before the board? Is there anyone in the public that wants to make a comment?
I have nobody raising their hand.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the next item, committee, commission, professional. Yep, sure.
Dylan, before, should we just, like, in case people are watching, maybe explain to them what they have to do? Maybe they don't, just to give them a moment to kind of catch on. I don't know, I'm just asking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you're on by a computer and you highlight over your name, there's an option down on the bottom to raise your hand in the video screen. So if somebody had a question, they can just say, I have a question, and it will raise their hand, and then we can call on them and allow them to talk during the meeting. On the phone, it's a code. When you first dialed in, I think it's #9 or pound something. I forget what it exactly was. I can look it up really quick. But that will allow you also to raise your hand. But we have nobody dialed in. Everybody is joined on a computer that is attendee. So we
And
don't
just
have to
so we
actually worry about that.
So that the planning board has an understanding, can you tell us how many people are in the virtual audience?
There's 9 attendees.
Okay, fine. Okay, good. So it's at least a basis for, understand what's out there. Okay. All right, Richard.
Yep. All right, do we have any committee, commission, professional updates for non-agenda topics from anybody?
Yes. Actually, I'm going to defer to either Diane or Melanie if they want to update on the, or Richard, if you want to update on the public comment portion of the master plan visioning. So if one of you want to do it, I did post it on Facebook, social media, by email, but maybe you all want to comment on that. That would be helpful.
On the email from Neil?
Just on the, the master plan process at visionridgewood.org, so that everybody, there's like a better way to explain it than how I explain it. So maybe you want to take it.
Yeah. Diana or Melanie, do you want to?
No, go ahead, because I've been following along with the emails, but I haven't responded, I don't think.
All right, well, the comments portion will be coming to the close at the end of this month. And the subcommittee is going to kind of confer to see if we should extend it out or not, because it's very unusual circumstances right now with what's happened, you know, with COVID. It might alter some things. Also, it kind of seemed to limit the feedback that we've received. We're still receiving emails and comments and things like that. But I think people are kind of distracted. So we're going to try to make a determination whether we should push it back and to maybe take in certain other factors. Does anyone else have any comments on that?
So I'll jump in. So to the 9 people out in the virtual land that are watching, everyone else that hopefully will take a look at the Facebook post and the other email post, the visioning process has come to a close, and now there's some draft documents on visionridgewood.org, and that will allow the public to comment on those documents in the process. And this is a critical piece of the master plan process, and everybody has an opportunity to actually weigh in on shaping the future of the village of Ridgewood as it pertains to environmental, whether it's facilities, the land use development, just the future of how we see the village of Ridgewood. So it's really publicly to participate, to become part of this collaborative effort to make the village a better place, not just for today, not just for tomorrow, but for future generations to live, raise a family, and enjoy visit. So we really do hope everyone will log on to visionridgewood.org, take a look at the document, complete the comment, weigh in, and share it forward into the world via social media, email, share it with your neighbors, and please help us do the best job we possibly can to deliver an outstanding master plan for the future. Thank you.
So everyone just please, if you're not speaking, can you mute your phones? Because we're getting apparently a lot of feedback. So folks who are dialed in can't really hear too well. If everybody can just please mute your lines.
You want me to say that again? Let me make my speech again.
I thought, so I had been under the impression we were going to probably have to delay it through the emails from Neil. I know we were going to leave it, I think, to discuss tonight, but I completely support delaying it a little. That's why we left that language in the timeline to hold it off in the event anything popped up. We couldn't have predicted this, but I think we do need to give people a little bit more time.
Yeah, I agree with
I
that.
believe that we left off, we'll make that decision Friday morning. Is that where we left?
Yeah.
That we would take a pulse, do like a little pulse on it this week, and everyone should be sharing it forward. Planning board members can share it forward. Anybody who's on Facebook, or through your email, just get the word out there, and we'll revisit that Friday. And so I guess we'll post something at that time.
Okay. All right, any other updates? Okay, seeing there none. Jane, has there been any correspondence received?
No.
Okay. All right, our next items will be Historic Preservation Commission reviews. I guess these came to us because I guess the Historic Preservation Committee doesn't have a quorum, so we're going to be reviewing these to take care of them. The first item would be 1111 Healing, 14 West Ridgewood Avenue, proposed sign. I guess the members that have been on the Historic Preservation Committee would be Susan, Diane, and Melanie have been on it before. So I guess I'll open up for comments from you guys, unless there's anyone that's familiar with this that wants to kind of present it or review it.
Rich, before we get started, if we're sitting as the HPC, which is an advisory board,
yeah.
So the comments that the planning board is making in place of the HPC will be in an advisory context, okay? So it's suggestive. Go ahead, sorry, Mel.
I was just going to say for this one, 14 West Ridgewood Ave, I know that she was not available to come to this meeting. If she said it's pretty straightforward what she's looking for. It's the 2 window signs. If there's a question about it, or if you would want to do this again when she's available, we'll reschedule it. But Paula had, the zoning officer, signed off on this. So and that's all that she's having are those 2 window signs.
And these
Jane
are
Mary Ann might want to chime in on this as well.
so just real quick, these are just vinyl decals that are going on to the, here to the window. So there's no, it's pretty straightforward. Oh, Mary Ann, sorry. Is she there?
Yes, I'm here. I just wanted to unmute. I'm basically using the phone for voice and computer for visual.
Got it.
So I did not review these because they were administrative only. They don't typically come to me. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm wondering if that is because of my phone. But typically, if these are permitted and they're signed off by the zoning officer, it means zoning-wise, they'd have no variances. And they're just looking for the design recommendations from the Historic Preservation Commission. And in that case, it would be
Okay, so that's exactly correct. So these are actually already gone through through our zoning officer and already been signed off. And these are really just looking for design recommendation as an advisory. So when this is advisory from the HPC, in fact, this is technically no approval process. It's just whether or not we render advice as to whether or not the colors or sometimes there's signs or such that are bolted into different facades, and we want to make sure that that's all done properly and that we use existing holes. So in this case, it's fairly straightforward. So I would defer to Diane or Melanie or anyone else who cares to weigh in. But it is straightforward.
I think the more colorful, the better. I think it looks great.
Yeah, I have no comments on this either. I think it looks great.
Yeah, I think it looks great.
Yeah, it looks clean and neat, I think.
Yeah.
So Rich, in that light, if the board has no comments, I suggest the chair send the letter in to explain that the comments are whatever they are. In this case, if there's no further comment, that's fine. And then I guess we would be on to the next one.
Okay, yeah, I would say fine as is, no comments. Okay, all right, the next one would be 44 Franklin Avenue. Is the location of the project. It's Pure Impact. And it's a proposed
So just so
sign.
everyone knows, this, sorry, Richard. So this application was actually before the HPC, just not that long ago. I would want to say maybe less than 3 or 4 years ago. And this was an existing signage as AR Workshop, which is just down on Franklin. And it appears that they are replacing the awning with the exact same configuration, the small piece and the large piece. And the lettering is similarly situated. So, I mean, again, this was approved by the zoning officer, and the design is consistent with the expectations that existed also for AR design. So again, anyone wants to weigh in on it.
I did have one question on this. The very last page of the PDF they sent us actually shows different lettering. It has fitness beneath it. I assume this is just an error, but I wanted to confirm.
I believe there's someone here for this one. Right, I think Jennifer or.
Yeah, if you could just confirm that the rendering on the last page, which has fitness underneath it, is not what you're going for. What you have on the first few pages is, because that kind of changes it a bit.
Actually, I think if fitness is below, it might exceed the zoning requirements because there's a 16-inch letter height top to bottom. And so if that, we have to look at them. So maybe if somebody's there, they can weigh in, but that's the issue with zoning. I like the fitness on the side, by the way. I don't know.
I like that too.
You like it on the side better than the bottom?
Yeah.
It has a little bit of a nicer feel. It actually reads better. Of course,
Hey, Dylan, somebody's trying, I think somebody requested to be unmuted so they can answer the question maybe?
Jay Coyne?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hi, this is Jen Coyne from Pure Impact Fitness. Some of you may actually know me. I'm from public service as well. So if I heard Chris was on the phone, so hi, please don't hold anything against me. I'm a new business owner in Ridgewood. But we were going for the fitness on the far right.
Okay.
Those were just two options our sign designer gave us. And then Jane had indicated that the fitness on the far right is the correct Historical Society approved option. That was what we were going to go with, as long as that was okay with the committee.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, does
So
anyone have any
first-
questions for her?
Yeah, so actually, first, welcome new business owner and good luck.
Thank you.
So not only does it just looks nicer, it has a nice smoother finish. And I think even if you put it underneath, it would have not worked with our zoning. So it actually works this way in two ways. It looks better and it also
Okay, great.
works with zoning. So I think it is 16-inch and putting it below added it looks like about 4 inches. So you're better off with the siding. It looks better anyway.
No, we're very excited. I'm very excited to be, we have a fantastic location. So just ready to open up whenever, the world opens back up. So
Hopefully soon.
Yeah. Anyone have questions for Jen? Any additional questions? No? Okay. All right, thanks, Jen. We're going to keep discussing it.
I also
like
have
it.
Jackie Rosa raising her hand.
Okay.
Do you want me to allow that one?
Okay.
oh, sorry, that's my sister and business partner.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Not a random Ridgewood resident.
Okay, yeah, you can let her speak, just in case she had a little something to add.
No, I didn't have anything to add. I didn't know if Jen was raising her hand or not because I saw that people were asking if there was somebody here. So I think we just both raised our hand at the same time, but Jen pretty much got the gist of it down.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I think it looks very professional. I like the dark color, the black versus what the teal that they have now. So,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah,
it's a clean sign, and I do like the fitness on the side. Anyone else have any other comments?
I agree. It looks a lot cleaner. It's an improvement over the teal for sure. So
Yeah.
looking forward to the new businesses coming to Ridgewood. I think it's great.
Yeah, okay. Any other comments from anybody? Okay, I guess
But
Chris,
thank
just,
you, Jackie.
Okay, Chairman, that's another letter for you.
Yep.
Letter.
okay, so it'll be with that sign with the fitness on the right. Okay. All right, our next item will be for Panagia, 35 East Ridgewood Avenue, proposed sign and blade sign. Okay, did anyone have any comments on this one?
I do, actually. So I think Ramon is still, Ramon, are you there? Because I had the blade sign, I just wanted to point out that this blade sign is not really the spirit of the ordinance, nor is it the way that it was written. So on the blade sign design, it's actually kind of a rectangular box with the sign attached to it, and that appears to be installed into the building. The intent, I think the ordinance may read, and I think Jane and I spoke about this earlier, that we were looking to have more of an architectural arm detail, and then the sign hanging from that architectural, I don't know what you would call that. Somebody
Yeah,
help me.
yeah, the ordinance, according to the ordinance, requires a hanging bracket.
Yeah, hanging
yeah.
bracket. So in other words, it's the bracket, that hanging bracket would be an arm extending perpendicular from the wall, and then that,
Right.
and then that sign would be hanging from there. So
Right, the sign's
then-
attached to the bracket, not the side of the building.
right. And then if So if this is that, and then it could be, Ramon, right, if it's a bracket that has some architectural detail, and then the sign could be hanged not by chains, but by a fixed bracket, so that if there's like that little space, but it wouldn't be like swinging. It could be solid, but the bracket itself is supposed to be what the sign is hanging from. It's intended to kind of be reminiscent of the old blade signs from, 100 years ago. So Ramon, if you want to speak to it, because we worked on this together, so I don't.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, the only other detail that you would have to consider is the any lighting. The sign itself cannot be lit from within, so it can't be like a a neon sign. Any lighting would have to be separate. It could be attached to the bracket, but separate from the sign itself.
So, and then I actually wanted to mention that I'm just looking for this, my tablet's going in all crazy directions, plus technology. I actually wanted to point out that the actual sign above the door, it's actually so sophisticated and so beautiful. I have to give them their due. It's really quite lovely. It's really sophisticated. So I love it. Anyone else?
It looks so much nicer. I'm not that it didn't, it just needed that updating, and it looks very sharp.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I have a question. Has this gone through zoning review? Or are they seeking a variance for the bracket sign, or where is this from a approval standpoint besides
This,
HPC?
It needs, the bracket, just the blade sign needs site plan exemption review, which I believe that sign is slightly too big right now, and he has said that he's going to revise it so that no variances are needed for it, but it does need site plan exemption review and approval.
It should go to Jim Van
Jane,
Gorp.
I'm confused by that. Why would it need site plan exemption review? Because we adopted an ordinance that permits.
That's what the ordinance says in the code book.
Oh, is that what
This
we
is
did?
very,
Yes.
yes.
Remember that part. All right. Okay.
I'm breaking up a little, but I might be able to explain that. I believe that it was flagged as not being eligible. They applied as a spec review, and it was flagged as not being eligible because of the blade sign, but they said they wanted to continue and they would make those corrections so it would be conforming and would go to spec. But I don't think that plan was received yet. Is that correct, Jane?
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
So Jane, I think that, and I don't know about how anyone feels about this, but I think that from my vantage point, and I think Ramon might agree with me, I think that because this is the first business that's actually going to do a blade sign, I think that would be like the final submission, the final application to be submitted back to the planning board, so we could at least take a look at it and make sure that we're comfortable with this being the way we had envisioned and
Right.
the ordinance. Is that okay? Can
Just the
everybody-
blade sign, you mean, right?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, I think David should be here.
Yeah,
He said
he's
he was
here.
going.
He's raising his hand to talk.
Okay,
Bring
okay.
him in.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Oh, wrong one. He went down there, yes.
yes.
Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hi. Can everybody see me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you. We can't see you. We can hear you.
I don't know how to. Sorry, it's my first time using this. I heard everything you guys said, and thank you. The blade sign, I'm waiting for this. Sign Mart is making my sign. I contacted them to revise it based on the 2 square feet I'm allowed. If you notice, if I can start with the blade sign, if you notice on the storefront, there's a solid brass on the side, and we tried to put the blade sign in between that, which is great for, it's like above 8 feet, which is in your ordinance. And I opted out not to do the perpendicular hanging sign only because of high winds. and just shaking and making too much noise, whether it's at night or stuff, things like that. That was my only concern, and it's not as modern looking as the storefront is. And I really wanted that bracket to be in between those two brass design elements, as you can see there. But we will change the measurements of the sign. They will be 2 square feet.
So I think, okay, sorry, David.
No, and whatever you guys can recommend, I guess, since this is the first blade sign, I do understand about that perpendicular hanging. I just didn't want it to be like a, a hazard in terms of wind and all, like, temperature, with all the weather stuff that's going on.
Yeah, so David, I think that the perpendicular bracket, the way the sign, my recollection, and again, Ramon can correct me if I'm wrong, we worked on this together. My recollection is that from the bracket, the sign is attached with stationary metal pieces, not chains. So there's no wind.
Okay, gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying? So I think that if we can kind of work together to get this right, I love it, and I have to give you your credit. It's absolutely beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Yeah,
I love it.
we worked really, really hard designing the whole entire place. But if I do the bracket the way you want it, then that means the blade sign will be lower, and then I probably won't get approved with the height.
So why don't we just, why don't you talk to your sign person and let's see what we can come up with. I mean, I guess if because it is the first one, maybe we just have to think about how we approach it. So why don't we see what we can come up with, and maybe we can just work together to figure out how what the best approach is.
So
I get what you're saying, because we have that 8-foot thing that we require too.
right,
Yeah.
I believe like right now that the bracket as we designed, I think it's like 8.5 feet or almost 9 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So is there maybe I can do a design element instead of that rectangle holding the sign? Can I do like I can try to have a designer do something there maybe.
I wonder if it just couldn't be something where, if that's that bracket, it's kind of like works around it and gives it like the kind of an illusion of that happening. So maybe there's something there.
I think I understand.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think I can design something. And do I have to do I have to I'll email Jane a new design, and then you guys can see if you like it, I guess, next meeting? Or
David, just
Chair, if I can make a suggestion, and
Yeah.
David, thank you. It's Chris Martin, the board attorney. I would suggest, if it's okay, if Susan's comments are good, maybe we can have this carried until the next meeting. And if HPC is still quorumless, for lack of a better term, we can review David's changes and decide what the recommendations are at that point.
Okay.
now, David, the ceiling of the first story of your business is a regular standard height ceiling, correct? It's
The ceiling inside the store?
yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I mean, no, because then the entrance would be. I'm trying to think. Is there a way to attach the sign, the bracket, a little bit higher in the building? There's a second story on the building, correct?
Yeah. There's a 3-story building.
I mean, again, would the landlord be willing to approve the attachment at a higher level so that it's not dipping down below the entrance?
For the blade sign?
Yeah.
I can see. I mean, I kind of wanted to be in my storefront area with the black. If you see, the storefront is all black.
Right.
And
No, I'm just saying, in order to get around the 8-foot clearance, the minimum height
yeah,
on the bottom of the blade sign.
I'll take a look. I mean, I'll see how high we can do it, I guess. But then if it's too high, it's pointless pretty much. If it's going to be 13 feet.
You know, I hear you, David, because I think that visual, the height, there's something about the height. And I think the thing what we were trying to achieve with the blade signs was kind of giving that old feel, that old downtown feel. But it was also important because most of the signs to the shops are, in order to see them, you'd have to step out to see those, the storefront. So this was a way to, almost like a wayfinding sign in the middle, like hanging over. So I get the height on it. Chris, one of the things I actually was going to suggest, if it has to go to spec anyway, why don't we take that ordinance and just if David could come up with a creative solution, and take this and that creative solution and send it to spec and just let Jane circulate it to the planning board. I don't want to tie him up longer because we've kind of been a little all over the place with our meetings because of the COVID-19. And I know he wants to get back in business. He's been working on that forever, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we can actually just have him submit everything back to Jane, and then Jane can send it out to the planning board, but then also to spec. And this way we'll just take a look at it and see if there was a better approach. Does that work? Because I think you just want to expedite this.
I think it would. It would be comments in favor, subject to finalization of some minor details that will be circulated to the board.
Right. Yeah, I think that would work
Rich,
better
that would
if
be
everybody.
You can memorialize that.
Yep, okay.
Wait, can I ask one question before we wrap it up, guys?
Yep, sure.
Hey, David, this is Joel Torrielli. I have a question for him. I'm looking at your submission, and there's one drawing where you dimension to the bottom of your blade sign, 103 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And above that, about 2-3 feet up from that, it looks like there's I don't know if it's a J box or another penetration in your sign band. Is that where an old sign was hung, or do you know what that is?
Those are antique lights that are in there now. Which if anybody drives by my store right now, you'll see it. They're 120-year-old lights
Gotcha.
that I've been holding on to. They're really nice. The black and yellow that match the storefront.
Okay, thanks. I was wondering if that was an old point of connection or something.
Yeah,
I
so
get it now.
so they're about 2 feet. So I can't put the blade sign like Ramon, like the mayor said. So
yeah,
I'm very limited to go as high. Because then it would be, if I put the blade sign higher than the lights, it'll be probably about 15 feet high almost.
Yeah, which I agree defeats the purpose of it because you're not catching pedestrians' attention with it. So I just wanted to clear that up. Thanks for answering my question.
Mm-hmm.
David, it might be beneficial for you before you provide it to Jane to circulate, to run it past Chris Rodeshauser and the planner, Marianne Bucci Carter, at the Village Hall. And just briefly discuss it with them before Jane circulates it, and that might be more expeditious for you as well.
Okay, 1 second. Let me just write their names. Chris, what was it?
Rodeshauser.
Okay.
Jane, you could give the name.
Yeah, if he sends it to me, I'll give him. I'll copy it to them.
I suggest before he sends it to you that maybe formulate it a little with them.
I'll send him the emails.
Perfect.
Okay.
And do you guys have any questions about my sign, like the Pangea and then the letters underneath, or?
We liked it. I think we had some comments that it was very well done, the signage on the store. Anyone else have comments on it?
So I'll repeat, I think it's absolutely beautiful and absolutely, it's sophisticated. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I want to thank you because
you guys should all
it's
come to the
beautiful.
store. I did. It was a lot of years in the planning and saving.
Yeah, beautiful.
David, as you know, I am a customer, and I think you've done a great job with the store. I know it's been a long time coming. You put a lot of work into it, and it shows. And appreciate the investment, into our downtown, and wishing you the best of luck.
Thank you. I'd love for you guys to just stop in and take a look at everything. It's very high tech. It's very modern. It's very beautiful.
Okay,
All
great. All right, thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll do a letter for that one. All right, our next item will be Shadow Residence, 302 Prospect Street, proposed addition, deck, pool, and patio with variances for side yard setback and driveway width.
Now, Chair, I believe this is a zoning board variance issue. So we certainly are not the the HPC advisory in this regard, but
Yep.
with advise, it also has to go to the zoning board.
Then, Rich, I'm recusing myself on this application.
Okay.
So just as kind of as a rule on these, the HPC never weighs in on variance relief being requested. The only thing we're looking at is the actual finishes and whether or not any work that's being done is consistent with the existing design and the historic details. And I'll just weigh in very quickly. I think it's beautifully done and works. It's magnificent. So the finishes appear to be appropriate, and
I've seen
it
the
does
work
seem-
done on this house throughout the years, and they've been meticulous at keeping with the neighborhood and the streetscape, and this will be a great addition.
Yeah, that's my thoughts exactly. I mean, I looked at it, they did a very nice job, and the house is kind of tucked back also. So it just seems a nice continuation. It kind of maintains the character, not doing anything that looks out of character or makes it stick out. I think it harmonizes. Any other comments from anybody? Okay.
I think the applicant is there.
You want me to invite her in?
Yeah, sure. Might as well.
All right.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi, guys. It's Paula Shadow and Mike Shadow.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. Hanging in there.
Okay. All right, we kind of just reviewed it. Did you hear our comments on it?
We did.
Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to add at all, or?
No, we really love this house and the integrity, and we really are staying true to it. That's what we loved about it, and we're not going to change that.
Okay. All right. That's how I felt, and the other comments. Anyone else have any other comments? Okay. I guess, we're just going to respond to the zoning board, I guess, with the letter on it. We reviewed it. And just from a stylistic and historic point of view, we view it favorably.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next item will be Board of Education, Orchard School, 230 Demarest Street.
There is,
Whoops.
I'm sorry, there should be one more
Zia Mara.
window replacement on the top of
Oh,
East
yeah,
Ridgewood
yeah.
Ave.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
that's
5
right.
South Broad Street.
Okay. Yep. I was looking at another agenda. That's why. All right. Our next.
They're replacing the windows. That's all. They're just replacement windows because they look identical to what already is there. No.
I believe so. Yes.
I think that in the actual window part is going to be black to match the bottom, which I think is going to be a huge improvement.
I
Right.
agree. I think it's going to be an improvement. I think it's good that they're doing this during this time.
Yeah, I thought it looked very, very good. Anyone else have any comments on the windows?
Looks
Okay.
great.
All right.
Yeah,
so-
looks great.
All right, so I'll do a letter on this one too. Okay. All right, our next item will be a Board of Education, Orchard School, 230 Denver Street, Block 2310, Lot 10, major soil permit. Chris, did you want to present this one?
Yes. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, the Board of Ed has to do some environmental cleanup. They've had a number of public meetings on this. I think they started earlier in the beginning of the year. They're planning and anticipating doing the work during summer. That was the original plan until this COVID-19 has maybe thrown the school calendar into disarray. Pretty straightforward. They are a fellow municipal entity, so we're just going through the courtesy.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. It's a courtesy review on behalf of the local governmental entity. So it's more of a commentary as well.
Chris, Martin, I have a quick question for you. What is our role in a courtesy review? Like where, at what is our role there with our questioning? Is it just we don't even really need to ask questions? Is there, where do we draw the line with our role here?
I'm only smiling a little bit because it's a night of advisory reviews, it looks like. We're not at the HPC anymore, we're back to the planning board. But on these courtesy reviews, it's basically, they're giving the planning board, the specialists in the community, an opportunity to comment for the benefit of the community, but they do not need approvals from us. So your comments should obviously be important and based upon the board's experience collectively and municipal land use law and ordinance issues, but we don't have the opportunity or the authority to approve or disapprove formally.
So questions would go towards like Chris Rudishauser, basically on something such as how many truck trips we're looking at in his, I read through Chris's memorandum, but my next question would be to Chris, how many truck trips of soil are they looking at coming through the designated route?
I believe I had that in the memo that was forwarded over to board members. I'd have to double check.
I'm not sure because I don't remember seeing a number, but it may well have been there.
Yeah, Chris, it was 1,458 cut and then 4,049 fill.
Was 110 trucks? No calculator.
And Chris, it's Debbie. I think what came out of some of those public meetings and why they said the summer is because they did not want young children in session when they did this. So
Yes, that is correct.
yeah, so I mean, I think that that's something, and I don't know who addresses it, to Melanie's point, that, you know, the reason that they were planning on the summer and they didn't do it, you know, in the next few months was because they did not want the young children around. So I think that would just, we'd want to make sure that that was still the case.
As far as I know, in my conversations with the Superintendent Fishbein, that is still the plan.
Okay.
And I think the truck count is around 400 to 500 trucks.
Wow. That's a lot of trucks. 400 to 500 truckloads, correct?
Truckloads, yes.
How long is the remediation looking like it will be so that is there a way to determine how many days those 400 to 500 truckloads will go over through those streets? I mean, I saw the truck route, but what is the course of, or the amount of time or the span of time those trucks will go through that route?
Again, I don't know how many trucks a day the contractor's running. I don't know what their cycle time is. By that I mean how long it takes for a truck to take a load, bring it to a receiving location, and come back and get a next load. Probably an hour, 2 hour cycle time. Might be running 20 trucks, 25 trucks a day. They'll knock it out pretty quickly.
And Chris, I guess the police are involved overseeing, as well as your office, with respect to keeping the roads clear and everything and making sure they're following the routes?
Yes, the route is actually quite strict because the only bridge they can really clear is the Ackerman Avenue Bridge under the tracks. And we don't want them to go down Doremus into the center of Glen Rock because the Glen Rock at grade crossing can be very problematic also.
Is there any, beyond the truck, as they're remediating the soil, I'm not real clear is there any hazard with moving the soil as they're doing it, and how do they mitigate that as they're digging it up and putting it into the truckloads? Is it covered as the trucks are going down the street? Number one, but is there any mitigation for as they're digging the soil up and putting it in the trucks, the dust or particles that are dangerous and contaminated floating through the air to neighbors and neighbors as they're driving through the town or through the streets that the route covers?
The trucks all have to have covers on them. They all have to have tarps. That's the law. They'll adhere to that. They had discussed at some of the presentations at Orchard School that there would be dust mitigation and dust monitoring efforts around the perimeter of the site to warn the contractor should there be a fugitive emissions concern, and that they can take the appropriate actions.
So the dust mitigation effort, what does that entail?
Usually just spray the load in the soil with water to tamp it down or dampen it down.
And then, so yeah, it's interesting. Interesting.
What about
Is
what about the
No.
brook that's running along next to it? They put something down to stop it from going into the brook in the stream?
Right.
They are applying to the DEP for stream encroachment permit, and they will have their permits to DEP. Those are underway right now.
Will there be anybody from the DEP or anyone else monitoring the dust mitigation as it happens? I mean, spraying it with water, I mean, but they're disturbing, and they're not even disturbing as much of the soil as we know is contaminated. They've come to some agreement about only removing or remediating, I think, a foot of soil, as opposed to, I think 2 feet or more that needed remediation. Who supervises that, the dust mitigation?
I understand the Board of Ed has a contractor, and they will have a licensed site remediation professional overseeing the remediation. The LSRP is a regulation from the DEP that designates the environmental oversight of environmental cleanups to a consultant in the private industry. So they have one that'll be watching that, and they have monitoring equipment and staff for the dust and fugitive emissions, as I call them.
Yeah, Susan and Melanie and Chris, maybe you can explain it better than I can. They have equipment that monitors the amount of dust particles and stuff in the air. This came up in a couple of the meetings. So they're going to put them by some of the homes on Orchard Place. They were talking about even doing it on the side of the tennis courts that are over there. They were talking about putting different areas where they would monitor the dust particles that are in the air, and then up by Orchard School coming down off of Doremus as well, by the homes.
You know, the concern, I guess, and I'm just kind of like, obviously it's a process, and I'm sure that the professionals, you want to think they know what they're doing and not putting anyone in harm's way. But when you know that the school, it's obviously being done in the summer because the school is empty. But the homes 50 feet away aren't empty. And so I think it's a great question about the dust mitigation and particles. And, if there's, monitoring and there's some exposure and the monitoring, I guess that presumably the dust particles are already released into the air when the monitoring identifies that. Chris, maybe you can respond to that. I don't know. It almost seems like it's something that's after the fact, no? I mean,
they are real.
I guess the question is, why wouldn't they take every precaution if it's wetting down the soil, if it's doing everything, why not take those precautions and do the monitoring, but why not take those precautions so that the dust doesn't become even airborne? I'm just asking, I don't.
They are, area is relatively wet down there. It's the headwaters of the Diamond Brook. They do have the dust monitoring. They don't anticipate it being dusty, but if we do get a dry spell, we haven't had one in a while, they will have water. They will use it. They'll wet down. The real monitoring for the dust is usually real time, so that if a level is hit, the warning is given instantly, so that can cease all work.
So, but in other words, I guess my question is, why would we, and I would imagine that this is within our purview to make a recommendation that any soil that's removed is wet down, because if the dust is airborne, then it might be something that is harmful, but
it takes that alarm to go up and then the work has to stop, why wouldn't we take every precaution, precautionary measure to make certain that that doesn't even remotely pose a possibility? I don't know if anyone else agrees or agrees. I don't know. I mean,
Susan, I think what you're saying is what they're doing. They plan, and again, Chris, jump in here. I just was at a couple of the meetings with the town. This is definitely an issue that came up with not only the families that live there, but the neighbors. But from what I understand, the process is they do wet down the soil. Everything is wet, but they are also taking extra safety precaution in measuring dust. That's what I understood. Chris, is that what you understand?
Yes, I mean, you gotta be careful with wetting, because if you use too much water, then you've just provided a conveyance means for particles to run off the site. So they usually use a fine mist, but they have to be careful, so it just achieves the goal of settling the dust so there's no dust in the air, but not to the point where you have a runoff.
In most of those scenarios, I think there's when I've seen it done with asbestos indoors somewhere, there's a vacuum, there's some other air duct out removing extra particles, and it's outdoors, so it's hard to picture how that really helps. I'm sure that the workers will be wearing respirators.
They may be wearing respirators. That they may be wearing respiratory protection only because of COVID-19. And most of the work, from what I saw and I've read, is a level D work.
Can you explain level D?
There's 4 levels in hazardous waste cleanup: B, C, B, and A. A would be a fully encapsulated suit on an air tank. D would just be generally thermal protection, something like the Tyvek suit. You wouldn't even have a respirator necessarily.
Chris, won't there also be a licensed soil remediation expert on site to monitor it, and he's responsible to make sure the site is safe and clean and all that kind of stuff?
Like I said, they're going to have an LSRP on site, licensed site remediation professional. They will have to oversee the soil removal, how much is excavated, to achieve the cleanup goals that they're seeking to present to the DEP.
And that's a license for that. The site remediation professional is contracted and hired by the current Board of Ed.
Yes, they're hired. It's part of the team that the Board of Ed has retained to address this problem.
The current Board of Ed who knew about this problem and didn't remediate it sooner. I mean, I'm just sort of curious, like how we, that's sort of a concern. But I mean, presumably we'll get all that documentation and testing as they do it. I would assume, and you'll be there, I assume, or monitoring.
I'll probably make periodic site visits. I certainly don't have the time in my schedule to be there full time. They do copy me on their regulatory filings so that the village has it in their records also.
So, and then just a last question I had. Sometimes, I don't know if they still do this, but sometimes there are programs going on in the schools during the summer, whether they're writing classes for the little elementary school kids. So are they not having any of that type of programming at Orchard this summer? Is that totally off limits? Canceled? I know there's school right now. God bless all the young parents out there homeschooling their kids for the moment or working with teachers, but assuming that everything gets back to the norm that we once knew, the question is whether or not they've shut down any, summer programming on campus at the school.
I don't know. That's a question that the Board of Ed and Dr. Fishbein would have to answer. I don't know if they're in a position to answer that right now, given the fluid nature of the current COVID-19 situation.
Susan, that question was asked by the teachers one of the nights at the school, because they were talking about not even running like the air conditionings and things like that, because they were afraid that dust pulls, to kind of what you and Melanie were saying earlier, we're going to go get in the vents and things like that. So I know that that was asked by the teachers, and a question came up to that, but I didn't hear, to Chris's point, I didn't hear anything on it, but I know one of the teachers asked it.
Yeah, I mean, I would just imagine where, when or how the schools reopen as a result of the current shutdown, one necessarily is not relative to the other. I mean, or related to the other, or impacted by the other. I would imagine that, the school would not have any programming there during this time, before, during, and after, because, so the dust settles, so to speak. I don't until the dust settles.
I caught the joke.
Funny.
Took a minute.
Christopher Martin still hasn't broken a smile on that one. I'm not sure what's going on there, but.
Okay, any other comments? I guess we can make a motion to approve it. The laundry list of comments that I have, do, while not in session, coordinate with the village engineer and police, have dust mitigation and monitoring and abate any issues, have runoff protection, keep the roads clear, comply with all laws, have a licensed and qualified contractor doing the work, and take all measures to protect the neighbors and any occupants in the school during the work. Would
And
that be it?
subject to any approvals required by the village engineer as to any requirements for the overall transportation on and off site, as well as the safety issues conducted on site.
Okay, I guess, Chris, we have to make a motion and take a vote on that, right?
It's, it's a courtesy review, Rich. You can do that, but in any event, it's going to be subject to the following comments by the planning board that we find to be material to the project. Please be advised as follows, something like that.
Okay. So you just want me to do a letter on it? We don't need a vote then?
Yeah, because it's not, you're not approving or disapproving any kind of applicant.
Okay. All right, so I'll do a letter and I'll
How come is that when is it just because it's the Board of Ed and a separate village entity, Chris, that's the case? Because this just seems like it immediately impacts homes in the village. It immediately impacts it. I just wonder why it's a courtesy review and not something we actually have some jurisdiction over.
No, Melanie, it's a good question. And we did the same thing about 2 years ago with the water company, remember?
Right.
And it's our municipal land use jurisdiction does not extend to other public bodies.
Okay. I mean, I figured as much. We've not had a Board of Ed issue, just the water department one.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
no,
definitely regulated by the state though. And as Chris Rodeshauser pointed out, with the environmental concerns, it's going to be a significant DEP issue.
Yeah, the planning board's reviewed renovations at all the schools and things like that. So we give input. So we don't have a final say so, but we do give input and they take it into consideration. So safety and things like that. So
I think maybe in my time, this is the first time I remember something sort of involving this many different moving parts. And well, that's, I think just in my time on the board that while maybe other things have been reviewed for schools, I understand that. I think I'm just, due to the nature of it, I'm wondering why, but I get it. I mean, I understand the law.
Okay.
And you know what, at the end of the day, Melanie, if you really boil it down, this is not an overall project review. It's a major soil permit movement review. So that's basically Chris's position on, how the movement of the soil can go off the site and on the site if necessary, and what procedures are to be followed. So that is only what we're reviewing tonight. All the other comments I think are important, and Rich, you can put them into the letter. But in reality, it's just a major soil.
Decoration. The comments are decoration.
That could be.
Oh, they're important to have the discussion, I think, and to make them aware of it. So, all right, our next item will be.
I have a question. Do we have the ability for any public comments on that matter? If there was anybody even there, I'm not sure, but I wasn't aware. I knew it was a hot topic in town. I'm not sure if anybody had comments.
Yes, that's a good point. Rich, if you want to open it up on this soil permit matter, that's fine.
Okay, did anyone from the public have any comments on this?
I don't see anybody raising their hand.
Okay, all right. All right, so I'll send a letter on that. And our next item will be public hearing on the third round housing element and fair share plan amendment to the master plan. That's going to be carried to May 5 without further notice and without prejudice to the board. Chris, did you have anything to add to that?
No, just Beth McManus will be presenting, and there'll be, it's an important issue as to the housing element that we'll be reviewing.
Okay. All right, our next item will be adoption of minutes. We'll start with December 17, 2019. A copy's been circulated to each board member. And for those board members that are present, just take a quick review and let me know if you have any corrections, revisions for it.
Are these the ones we were so confused about at the last meeting? These
Yes.
We didn't know who was there.
But I double checked what I had and it was correct as
Okay.
to who was present and who was not.
I was absent. Right?
Right.
Okay.
You were absent, Mr. Torrielli, Ms. Huban, and Ms. Bartow were not at that meeting.
So I guess it's up to, where'd Allison go again?
Oh, she's there. At least her name is. There she is.
There's Allison. It's like you keep disappearing. Ramon keeps disappearing. It's like.
Jane, I just had one typo on the bottom. It's the
I did correct that, I thought. Is it in there corrected?
made, not mad.
Okay, where?
The third line from the bottom on the first page.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Okay, anyone want to make a motion on this one?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, call the roll.
Mayor Hashek,
Yes.
Chief Van Gore,
Yes.
Mr. Joel,
Yes.
Ms. Patiri,
Yes.
Ms. Westner,
Yes.
and Ms. O'Brien.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes are approved with the one typo correction.
Right.
All right, the next set of minutes will be March 3, 2020. Okay, all those that are present are able to vote on these. Any revisions or corrections?
The only revision I have is that my name is continuously misspelled.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry.
So if you could change that, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
I will fix it, yes. I guess it's ES, is that what you're telling me?
Yep.
Okay, I will fix it.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the March 3rd, 2020 meeting minutes as amended with spelling Francis correctly.
Second.
Okay, Joel's the second. All right, call the roll.
Deputy Mayor Newton,
Yes.
Mr. Joel,
Yes.
Mr. Torrielli,
Yes.
Ms. Huban,
Yes.
Ms. Bartow,
Yes.
Ms. Westner,
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, the minutes are proven with the one correction. All right, we don't need an executive session, do we, Chris?
Just two issues on that. The first one is that
Wait, are we are we like voting or are we not?
I have to identify the executive session before we would go into executive session.
Oh,
So
okay.
the first issue is James Van Gore. Is that a phony Zoom background? The room looks too perfect.
Yeah, I know.
Sunny where you are, James.
It's really my house, I swear.
The second issue I have is more important. It's more material. Barbers and hairstylists are not an essential service. So I think I'm rivaling Allison, or soon to be. But Mayor Hache seems to have this perfect cut. And I don't know where it happened, but I'd like to find out.
I learned how I was in college, counselor. So I have to do it myself. Not bad, right?
You guys see that? Look at that.
That's nice.
No, but Joel Torrielli's looking a little groomed there.
Yeah, he looks good.
Like a little grooming there.
Mr. Chair, there's no executive session tonight, thank you.
Okay, any further business from anybody? Okay, I would like to thank everyone for participating. I mean, it brings a little normalcy back a little bit.
This is our best attendance in a while, I think.
Perfect attendance. Yeah.
Take another. So everybody just like smile one more time. And say cheese. Everybody like cheese. Oh,
not-
where'd you
not-
go, Melanie?
Not really the
Melanie.
same live meeting, but you know, it's good to meet again. Do we have a vote, a motion to end the meeting? Anyone want to make a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No? Okay. The meeting's concluded.
All right, be safe.
All right, thank you, everybody. Keep safe and healthy.
Stay healthy, peeps.
Be good.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye,
bye-bye.
everyone. Once I figure this out, it'll be like the
Yep.
okay.
Everybody's almost gone.
Leave